It's of a merchant's daughter brought up in Kaela. Hurrah, me yellow girl, do let me go. She took me in the parlor and said, won't you be me beau? Hurrah, me yellow girl, do let me go. Oh, do let me go, me girl, do let me go. Hurrah, me yellow girl, do let me go.
How long have we been trying to do this episode? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
3 months, I think.
At least.
When did the movie come out? It's been... Yeah, I know.
It's been-
It came out last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in October.
October.
What?
It came out October 18th, 2019.
Yeah. Gosh, this
Been
one took a
stranded
while.
without provision for 6 months.
But it feels like it's been only a week.
I feel like we should have alcohol for this occasion.
Well, that's all we have. It's all we've been able to store.
We've been stuck in this
We've been
lighthouse.
having to like siphon the lantern oil and mix it into a crude form of alcohol in order to keep ourselves sane.
Shit was awesome.
That's good as shit.
Man, the visions we've had in that time have been intense.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Undercooked Analysis. But,
We're still analyzing something.
yes!
It's still... Look, I know normally we read other people's shit, but today we're gonna instead watch other people's shit and talk about it. In this case, we all saw The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers.
And we got the whole gang for
The
this.
whole gang is here. Just about.
Yay!
Just if you need a reminder who the whole gang is, I'm sorry. You should have been paying
Too
better
bad.
attention in class.
That's David.
I'm David. That's Kaela.
Hi, I'm Kaela.
And there's Alan.
I'm Kaela. I'm sorry.
There's Abysmii.
Hello.
There's Paprika.
What's up?
There's Seid.
Meow.
Yes.
And then there's George. Wait. Oh, Gracie's here too, but she won't say much because she's sleeping.
George. Is George a lighter, lamp oil,
Wiki.
alcohol, hallucination?
George is the George is the corpse that's been waving at us for the past few months from the deck of the lighthouse.
Okay, I really want you to tell that story.
I'm gonna tell that story.
Oh, that
Don't
seagull
worry.
is back, guys. It's coming back.
Ah, shit.
Oh,
Don't
the
mess
one I-
with it.
Damn
Stop fucking with it.
You'll be fighting with them seabirds. Best leave it be.
We're talking.
There was a ship.
So we're talking about the 2019 The Lighthouse, which was directed by Robert Eggers, who you might remember as the director of Witch, which is a really good movie. Go
The
see
Vivitch.
Yes,
It.
the Vivitch.
The Witch. It was written by Robert Eggers and his brother Max Eggers. Actually, Max Eggers was the one who started writing this because he wanted to do an adaptation of The Lighthouse, the unfinished story by Edgar Allan Poe, and then they just got together and made this. And
I want to see someone do a mashup of like stories that were never finished by classic writers. So Poe's The Lighthouse with like Dickens' The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Could you imagine?
Oh god. This also stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
What? No, wait. Or was that Twain? I don't remember. Fuck.
You
I think it was Dickens.
You fucked up.
I think it was Dickens.
And this was produced by A24, Regency Enterprises, and RT Features, and then was distributed by A24, BVS Films, and Focus Features.
Wow.
So, and as
And also, there's poops and farts in it.
yeah, there's a lot of hard jokes.
And
Well,
cum.
okay.
There's lots. There's some
Thank
cum.
you.
That happens too.
How is there going to be a structure to this?
No.
No.
I just
Is there a structure to the
Because-
lighthouse?
Because well, yeah. But do we want to talk about it chronologically? Do we want to talk about behind the scenes? Do we want to talk about like how do we want to start? I guess.
Well, I do want to share. I do want to share one thing because I mean I might have mentioned this before, but there is a real life incident that was served as partial inspiration for this story.
This is a dark ass story.
And this is cool as shit. So there's it's known as the Smalls Lighthouse tragedy or the Smalls Lighthouse incident. And Smalls Lighthouse, it was built off the, oh my gosh,
It's off.
It's built off of the coast of Pembrokeshire, Wales. It was built in 1861. Wait, that doesn't
Look,
make
the
any
point.
sense.
Just get to the part about the.
Okay, because I'm just getting the timeline. The weird thing. So in 1801, specifically in 1801, there were 2 lighthouse keepers that were tending the light. This is the interesting part that I found. Both of them had the first name of Thomas.
Hence, so guess where they got.
So
that
I got
reference.
figured that
Okay.
out. But they were Thomas Griffith Howell and Thomas Griffith. Now, these 2 lighthouse keepers, they, are already dealing with the isolation of living in this. By the way, their lighthouse was basically like a platform and the light itself, and maybe like a cabin below the light where, they stayed. But underneath that was nothing but like wooden scaffolding and a ladder leading down outside. So there's no like further interior of the lighthouse. They're essentially up on this big platform. Like this big wooden platform. And these 2 men did not like each other. They did not get along. People who would see them in taverns and things like that, according to the story, they would quarrel often and get into fights. And so when Thomas Griffith died unexpectedly, probably due to unintentional poisoning. Most of the stories agree that it was some sort of accident, and most people think it was because of bad food or something. Thomas Howell thought, oh shit, they're going to think I murdered him because they know we don't get along, and I can't throw his body into the sea, because if I do and they find the body, they're going to think, oh, I murdered him and tried to, dispose of the body. So he just lived with the corpse for a little bit until the corpse started to decompose. And he was like, well, shit, I don't want to live in this tiny hut with this corpse. So he managed to scavenge together enough wood to build a makeshift coffin. He lashed the body into the coffin and then lashed the coffin to the outside sort of platform of the lighthouse, kind of outside the windows that he could see out to, in order to just make sure the body stayed out of his way, but he could then, when his shift was done, could get Griffith's body back to where it needed to be. Now, storm season comes up, and the storms batter the lighthouse pretty badly, to the point where the storms rip the coffin apart. But the corpse is not washed out to sea, and instead gets tangled in the lines that were meant to keep the coffin held in place, and the body ends up strung up in such a way that it's positioned haphazardly outside this window, in such a way that Howell can only look out and see Griffith's corpse, propped up in all these ropes. And the way the way that it fell, the arm was sticking up at a weird angle, and it would look like when the wind blew, the arm would sway back and forth like it was beckoning to him.
Or waving, basically.
That's terrifying.
So imagine being stuck there.
That's some telltale heart shit right there.
Yeah. Imagine being stuck there for months, for weeks on end, and you have no other way to you have nowhere else to go, and you can't go out there to take the body down because it's a storm season and you will die. So he has to and there's basically no other view but the view that is now blocked by the decomposing body of your friend that looks like it's giving you a grisly
Actually,
wave.
enemy. I mean,
Your frenemy. Let's say frenemy.
okay.
Sure.
So did he go cray-cray?
He started to, but he actually sent out a distress signal, hey, find a way to signal people to come.
What year was
pick
this?
them up. This is 1801.
So
He probably
they
either
didn't
launched a
What kind of
flare or-
signal did he send?
I
Okay.
don't know. This is the part of the story I
Telegraph?
don't necessarily understand very well. He was able to keep the lamps light lit, but I think there must have been sort of lantern signal or maybe even a flare or something. I don't know. He could have used, but whenever anybody came to check on him, not only was the light still going because he had enough oil to keep manning the light, but they would see in a distance a man perched on the balcony waving to them pleasantly. And they would go, okay, everything's fine, and they'd sail away.
Okay.
Jesus.
It wasn't until the shift was over, when Howell was finally relieved of duty, the impact of the situation had him so fucked up emotionally that people said he was a different person. They said he had aged prematurely, and that his hair had grayed, and he was just haunted by this experience. And as a result, supposedly, the governing body of the area made it mandatory, like a new act, that there had to be at least 3 keepers on duty at all times until they started automating lighthouses in the British lighthouses in the 1930s.
That's a mega
Wow.
Oh shit.
So that's supposedly one of the big things that helped inspire the work.
Well, the
And now I'm
thing
worried
that
because Alan's
I
coughing
was,
a lot. So
I was reading like a puff piece about this movie, and one of the things I read was that they looked up like northeastern old lighthouse, like around Maine, like old books, and would make the language in the movie based on that. The same way in The Witch, they mirrored the language from the time of settlement.
right.
So a lot of the events that happen in the movie and the things that the phrases that are used come from like real logbooks held by lighthouse keepers from the early 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So all that like the language, it's all like real. So
That's really cool because, like, I felt like the movie feels authentic in terms of the language, and I'm a huge like nerd about nautical stuff, so I was all here for this movie, and as soon as it started, I'm like, yes, I'm immersed. I just want to drink this movie in.
Okay, can we confirm that we all like this movie?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
okay.
did.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, the way I viewed it is like The Witch is definitely the story of like puberty for a woman and like the harrowing nature of it, but this is like the same thing but for men.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a lot. I want to say that we should talk about the implications of masturbation, because it's like they were both doing it, but they were both admonishing each other for it at the same time. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
I think we should discuss that a little bit.
I agree because, well, especially like the scene that always sticks out to me is when I'm trying to remember. Winslow, although he's not, his name isn't really Winslow. There's spoilers all over this, by the way, just so you know.
Go see
Yeah,
the movie.
Go see the movie first and then come back and talk to us. But when there's that bit where Winslow is just, he's got the, he's in the shed while it's raining or whatever, like the tool shed, and he's got the mermaid totem that he found in the mattress, and he's just jacking it like really violently to the point where when he finishes, his scream sounds pain. He's just like, ah! That was really bad impression of Robert Pattinson, who kills it, by the way. Their performances are so good.
Oh, they both kill it.
Yeah.
And he does kill
Well,
it.
it's just so surprising that Robert Pattinson does, because all we knew him from was Twilight for the longest
Tragically.
time.
Well, here's the funny part. I wasn't surprised because I saw him in another movie. Strangely enough, it's yeah, God, I'm gonna butcher this.
Was he in Water for Elephants as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. But it was who's the guy who directed all the Cronenberg? He was in a Cronenberg film.
Oh,
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Damn.
and I saw it and I'm like, oh, so Robert Pattinson is actually into all this like trippy stuff.
Pardon me.
No, it's okay. You're just you're contributing a meme to this episode, Alan, about this movie, and I'm sorry that it comes at that, but you know.
Okay, so he was the main star of Cosmopolis, which was a Cronenberg film. There's no Cronenberg signature body horror. It's more of a drama than anything.
Oh, you were telling me about this movie.
Yeah, the film is really weird, and then you see Robert Pattinson in it, and you're like, oh, yeah, this guy can do weird. This guy can. So when I heard it was going to be Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, I wasn't too surprised. Willem Dafoe, especially, I saw him in Antichrist, and yeah, that guy's weird. Yeah.
It was pretty great to see the Green Goblin as a lighthouse keeper.
I'm sorry.
Yelling.
I'm thinking I first saw him. No, actually, that's not true. I saw him in Spider-Man, but I first recognized him, or like actually got a grasp of him as an actor, was in my goodness, I'm blanking on the name, and I hate myself for it. Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
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 Same.
Yeah. That's what I first heard.
There's a great story about Willem Dafoe. Apparently, he has a huge dick.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was in Last Temptation of Christ. And when he was being crucified in his little Jesus underpants.
Well, Jesus probably had a big dick too. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, during the scene while they were filming, Mr. Defoe's genitals came out of his little Jesus underpants, and the director asked a member of, because he was being crucified, he couldn't adjust himself. So the director asked a member of the crew to help stuff Willem Dafoe's penis back into his pants.
Oh my gosh.
To which that member of the crew responded, seeing the size of it, "Yeah, no, I don't get paid for animal handling."
And if that sounds like a weird tangent, no, it's oddly on theme for this movie.
Yeah,
It sure
Yeah.
is. But on the masturbation front,
I mean, a lot of the theming is a sexual frustration. Like,
Yes.
that is a big thing
Yes.
in that movie. I mean,
Yes.
for crying out loud, there's a point where the lighthouse is made to look like an erect penis. So,
Right.
Yep.
And that like a lot of the things that happen in the movie, like when you see the mermaid and then when you see the lighthouse become a penis, it's like the majority of these visions are only inside their heads
Yeah.
when they start going crazy. And so you really quickly lose any sense of reality.
oh yeah,
You can't really tell what's happening. And I mean, there's this scene where Pattinson goes up to the lighthouse at night, and presumably Defoe's character Winslow, or whatever it is, Tom is masturbating upstairs, and goo just comes out in front of his face. I mean, did that happen? Did that not happen?
was that the
I
part
don't
where
know.
he looks up
I
though and he
think-
thinks he sees writhing tentacles for a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
we see the goo first, and
see
then
the-
the tentacles?
We see
Yeah.
the goo first.
Yeah.
and then the tentacles, yeah.
I kind of like this movie in that it is so batshit crazy off the walls that I never have to bother to care. Is this real? It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
cares
The
if
whole
the
movie's pretty
chronology is
symbolic, honestly. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of symbolism, and maybe some of it's real, also maybe not, and also maybe Robert Pattinson is crazy. I think he is crazy, but also being gaslighted.
yeah.
They're both terrible people. They're both like attacking each other on all
Yeah.
fronts.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see, like, because they're stuck with each other, right? So they hate each other, but they're also their only form of human contact. So there's a point where they almost fucking kiss.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
when
It's
they're-
weird.
Yes,
That-
I want to talk about that because it is maybe one of my new favorite scenes in the history of cinema.
Really nice.
The point
When
where-
it goes, like, I don't know what to call it, and it's bad because I've worked at so many Ren fairs or whatever, and like classically themed things.
Yeah.
It's called tension.
No,
Sexual
no,
tension.
not that. When they're old timey scream dancing, they're old timey scream dancing, and that turns into with them slow dancing with each other,
Yeah.
and then they almost kiss, and then they just start fist fighting each other instead.
Yeah.
We must prove we're banging.
It is the best.
That's pretty good.
Fuck. We almost. Well. Fucked. We gotta prove we can't do this.
Release
That
our
was
a lot
Release our
of-
attention a different way.
Really interesting
Ben.
moment for me as like Fujosh trash.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time where I was in a scenario where I was like, no, I don't want this.
It is.
Kiss Cedric Diggory, Green Goblin.
You know, someone
God.
shipped that at one point, like, I think Cedric Diggory would totally hook up with the Green Goblin, and then this came out, and it's like, oh, my ship is coming true!
In a weird way, you could also say kiss Bruce Wayne.
That's,
You
yeah.
Excited for that. This movie is so sublime in how captivating and hypnotic and unsettling and just random it is all at the same time.
Yeah.
No.
But it never
just-
but it never feels random without merit. Like
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
like everything is intentional, which is great.
By the way, maybe I'm just a weird film snob or whatever. When you guys were like, "No, this is an experience. It's so weird." I'm watching it like expecting to be like mind fucked, and I go into it, I'm like, "This isn't that bad." Like I've seen weirder.
I wouldn't call it a mind fuck.
It has masterful tension.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
all
All the
it
way
does.
through the movie, you're like drawn into what's happening, and it might be the ratio, the framing, but like, I mean, we've all seen stuff like this before. We've all seen what The Thing and terrible things happen in movies, but there was something just enthralling about what's happening in front of you in this movie.
And like if you take, there's a lot of the symbolic logic makes a lot of sense. You start not caring what's really reality. I mean, there's a certain point where I kind of, in my mind, I think there's kind of the split, and pretty much like in Rime of the Ancient Mariner, it's pretty much after
killing the seagull.
Winslow kills the seagull and the wind changes. That's when reality and fantasy start to blur together.
Would you be able to point out the act structure of this movie by any, like that being the end of an act almost?
Kind of. Oh, well, let me give it a try. Act 1, they go to the lighthouse and they start figuring things out.
Getting to know the illusions of each other, you could argue.
Getting into the routine.
Yeah, it's just them doing the routine. The sort of breaking point, I think midpoint is end of Act 1 is the killing of the seagull. Act 2 is when the paranoia and the isolation starts to set in. Act 3 is just what the fuck, and that's the structure.
I have a weird theory about this movie. If we're gonna get into weird theories,
Go for
Okay.
it.
I think this movie is cyclical, and I think
Hold on. What do you mean by
that them.
before
I think that them
wait.
both
Before
did-
you continue, what do you mean by cyclical?
Cyclical.
Cyclical.
Yes.
Things just repeat.
I think that both characters being named Thomas is not a mistake. I think the end scene, spoilers everybody, where he's being like devoured by seagulls and shit on, is more a the obvious metaphor of Prometheus.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, then
But
that's
I think the last scene that actually happens is him falling in the lighthouse, where you hear him break leg. And you know how older Thomas has a broken leg and won't explain how he has it, why it broke.
Yeah.
So my crazy ass theory is this is like some kind of purgatory, and Thomas and Willem Dafoe Thomas is trying to basically help Pattinson escape, but he's not fucking listening to him, and the same thing just keeps on happening.
That's not a crazy ass theory, because
No,
that was one of my initial impressions upon first seeing the film, because there's so much that the two Thomases cannot be a coincidence, and there's just so much of a young man hating and despising an old man because of that fear of, is this my future? Is this what I'm going to become? And everyone that's just a human thing. Not wanting to become your parents, or not wanting to be like what you don't like. So I don't think that's crazy at all.
It all kind of came together for me when he broke his leg at the end.
I can see that actually.
I could see that. That's definitely like a way you could interpret that, and I dig that actually. That's cool. I don't know.
Like he went to purgatory because what he did to the guy with the logging accident.
Yeah.
Oh, could be, yeah.
He's
this might
there.
just be his hell then, not even purgatory.
Yeah.
Like this is his eternal torment.
I mean, what is a timberman doing as a Wookiee? He's doomed to listen to an old man fart, and not let him go to the light,
And then to become that farting
old man who gets mad when his apprentice doesn't like the taste of his lobster.
Oh my gosh, that was probably my favorite part of this movie.
That scene is also great.
That scene where Willem Dafoe keeps his eyes open the entire time. He's ranting for like 2 minutes in like crazy vocabulary, and it sounds like a legit curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy just goes, "No, it's okay. Actually, I like it. It's good."
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I'll admit it. I like your cooking.
I
Like
love
right
the
up,
way,
right up to the Hark scene where he's asking him like he sounds sad and you don't like my lobster. So much of that sounds like an actual drunken argument.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
By the way, the lighting on the way that the light and shadow, because of the stark black and white of this movie, the way that the camera's like looking up from Pattinson's perspective up at Tom, and there's Tom, and his face just looks ghoulish. Like, it's imposing because he's like, there's so much the hard shadows on his face, but his eyes really stand out during that bit. You could like screen grab any part of that rant, and it's spooky looking.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. But I mean, obviously the whole Prometheus thing is not lost on people, especially considering that so often in this Tom appears as Poseidon.
Yes.
You know, as a sea god. You know, and here's Winslow effectively trying to steal the fire from the gods and getting punished for it. So I mean, that goes without saying, but.
This movie is just so full of symbolism,
Yeah.
like and it wears all of it on its sleeve. There's no point in doing an explained video about
No,
this
there's
movie.
not.
No.
That's why I haven't
But
watched
of
any.
course,
of them
people
like
have.
that.
By the way, what do you think of it being in black and white completely?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
makes it feel its age.
The combination of the black and white, the aspect ratio being very narrow. I don't even know if it's like 3:4 or something.
It is.
It's 119:1.
119:1. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is interesting because that was silent era film, like that it was used before we even transitioned to actual black and white film. Was just a little bit whiter than that.
Wow. I haven't seen that since Ghost Story, I think, which I don't even know if that was the same aspect ratio, but it was that tiny, like, just square in the center.
No, it's really good. I love that it was black and white because when you have black and white, because most movies when you see them in black and white, they're filmed in color and then they gradiate, they like change it in post to black and white. They actually shot in black and white for this film, and that's why you get. And then what's great about it is it really shows like imperfections in skin and like texture and that's why like William Dafoe looks like so damn scary in some parts. You know?
Oh, he's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love the sound and the music.
Oh
in
god, the
this
sound
one.
design in this is just like, oh, it's so good.
It's one of those,
Lauren.
much like Annihilation, I was listening going, God damn it, I wish I had wrote this. But
I will never forget that foghorn noise. That distinct
great.
foghorn noise.
Literally haunting.
Yeah, we
Nice.
hear that sound before we see anything.
That's right.
True. The dude who wrote this score, Mark Corvin, also did the music for The Witch, so no surprise there.
Yeah.
Also did the music for The Cube, which I didn't know until today.
Wow.
Well, it is a Canadian-American film. Like, The Lighthouse is considered a Canadian-American film, where, and The Cube is Canadian, so...
Yep. And he's also the guy who made it's called the Nightmare Machine and also the Apprehension Engine. If anyone's ever seen that on YouTube, it's this metal and wooden weird monstrous conglomeration of, it just makes nightmare music sounds. Like, look that up on YouTube and you will understand why this dude is so good at sound design, because he just knows it intrinsically. So that was just, I loved hearing everything. I loved how we would go from foghorn noises to like detuned instruments that almost sounded like nightmarish whale songs. Just, it's so much attention to detail and mood. It was beautiful.
Yeah, this coupled with the visuals, it just creates this just incredibly bleak and haunting atmosphere. And yeah, it's not a horror film, quote unquote, but there's plenty in this film that's horrific. Oh yeah.
It's horror in a different sense, I would say, than a typical horror film.
One thing I deeply appreciate about this movie is it's not a jump scary movie. No,
Yes.
either. This does not need to rely on that sort of thing. So I was quite comfortable watching this movie and just getting immersed in it. And
There was a jump scare though. There were a couple actual jump scares.
There was-
I think when
I think you can
he
make an
comes out with
argument.
the axe. That was that. That was not a jump scare.
Okay, I guess so.
You can make an argument for when the first time the mermaid kind of shrieks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
they do give a music sting when they show the head, right? The previous lighthouse attendant's head.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not the crank the compression up to 25 stab of sound. It's
And then
more
there's
just-
a point when Winslow gets like completely annihilated by the foghorn.
Oh yeah. There's that bit.
That's a wonderful phrase out of context. Then he gets annihilated by the foghorn.
Like there's a lot of mundane things that happen in this movie, but they stick with you.
Yeah.
Well, they're mundane, but because of the context, it all has such immense weight.
Yeah.
Like when he's feeding coal into the furnace, every time he's in there, it's like that's another like hellish scene of just these shadows and this dark grittiness and this loud, tortuous sound. And it's it really does seem like an internal torture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my god. And I love the way that so many of these shots are framed, especially like just the setting shots where you can see the whole island, where you can see the lighthouse. You can see why this was nominated for cinematography.
Did it win?
It did not.
Oh, fuck it.
What one?
1917 won for best.
Oh,
cinematography.
well.
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
But then again, that's because I think I haven't seen it, but I understand that they're trying to make it look
They
like
did
it's
like
all,
everything one shot.
they're trying to make it look like it's all one shot.
Yeah.
So that's a feat in itself too. But I don't know, just the art direction, the sound design, everything just goes so well in this, and especially like I figured you and I would latch onto the sound design in particular, us being sound people. So
Well, and when I came out of it the first viewing, I think I immediately told you, like, David, you're going to like this movie.
yeah, you
Seriously.
weren't wrong. I was sitting there enthralled the whole time. And yeah, on the jump scare front, yeah, I'd say the main part that made me jump was when suddenly, and it was earned. It was just the sudden looming of Tom with the axe.
Yeah.
But at the end of the thing,
Don't leave me.
the light is mine.
I remember at the end of this movie looking around at everyone else in the theater, and we all had the like same expression on our face, like we just went through something together.
God.
That's how so I went and saw it with my brother and my partner, and the three of us together had not hung out in a very, 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 very long time. And when we came out of that theater, we were like, oh, okay, we're gonna go for ramen now, and we're sitting at this ramen place with these bowls of ramens in front of us, and we're not really talking. We're just kind of like still processing what we had just been through, and we didn't know how to talk about that movie. But we like knew, looking at each other, is like, we have this shared experience now.
Right, yeah.
It's
It
been
brings you closer together, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah.
it's been a couple like
Uncomfortably
years
close.
of that. It's what, Hereditary, Midsummer, this movies that just put you through something.
You know, I'm surprised you didn't go out and get lobster.
I just want to give a quick shout out to the brief scene where Pattinson is pissing in the pot that's floating in the flooded room.
Yeah.
And he's still bothering to try and make it.
Yeah.
I really did love that bit where they're like cackling underneath the window together, and then all of a sudden the water just rushes through and destroys everything from the storm.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was great.
That for me, I think, was my favorite part, where I just like felt really, really invested, really in the moment, because just that laughter that they were consumed by, I was kind of like, oh, I want to laugh like that.
With your frenemy.
With my frenemy. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, this is so good. So good. It's probably one of the best films I saw last year.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
It's It's hard to talk about this movie in any linear fashion.
Yeah, that's the
It
point.
does not present itself as
Right.
one.
Well, it's just a
didn't
descent
expect
into
it.
madness.
Yeah.
I did not expect to talk about it in a linear fashion at all. I'm like, we're gonna just go all over the walls.
I like how we're just like, so why don't we just break this down by theme? So masturbation, and then from there, just
Madness.
By the way,
seagulls. Stop it now.
it got rough
Well, I mean,
on the
you
Academy
It
Awards.
did. It super did.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
then again, I haven't seen 1917, so I don't know. This was just
I like Parasite a lot.
I haven't
We
seen
have yet
that.
to see that.
I haven't seen
I
it, but
haven't
going
seen
to
that.
probably tomorrow.
I wanna
Yeah.
see it.
I might actually see it tonight in bed.
Yeah. Oh, God. I don't know how else to talk about than just remember that scene and how cool it was.
basically
Then we'll
what
just be
they kinda
redoing
doing.
the entire movie.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know if I ever end up watching it on the Oculus.
Oh, shit.
That would be trippy. Wait, they're gonna put it on the Oculus? Like, really?
You
Did
can
you-
watch Amazon. You can watch Amazon Prime movies on Oculus.
Oh my god.
That's weird. That would make me sick, I think.
Yeah. That's so trippy.
It's
Watch-
like
So, did
basically.
you guys ever?
Basically, I love my goddamn Oculus Quest because like every night I lay down now and I'll put on the Oculus Quest and I'll watch a movie in my tiny room on a screen the size of a movie theater. So
Nice.
So great.
Whoa.
I don't know what more to say about this film.
So
Like-
let me ask a question.
Sure.
Did you guys feel isolated on the island?
At the moment, I think.
Did you guys feel like I need to get the fuck off this island? while I watch
Okay.
this movie?
here's what I'll say. I saw the movie alone,
Mm.
so yes.
I felt such apprehension for them of, God, I want them to get off. I want some ship to show up. I want this to end. Not that I want the movie to end, but I wanted their plight to end because it was so well presented as completely tearing them apart.
Oh yeah.
And not that they're like undeserving of it because they're bad people, but still, like the elements themselves were
I'm glad.
killing them.
I'm glad we didn't get like a cop out shot at the very end of like a boat showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the way that it ended.
No, we got like a Jesus shot of him like getting devoured.
Well, not Jesus, but yes.
Well, it reminds me. It
And pooped
reminded
on.
me. The way he was laying reminded me of like how I've seen like images of Mary holding Jesus when they pull him off the cross. That's what it
I
was
see
like.
what you mean,
I,
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like,
Well,
if I remember
Prometheus
correctly,
is.
it's based on a very specific piece of art of Prometheus.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, but those two would probably be influences of each other anyway. So
Okay, I have another question. Why was the mermaid laughing at him? I still don't know.
Because he had a small penis. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just decided to.
No, that's
because
good.
ha
That's
ha,
good.
you're stuck on an island.
Because
and
he's
can
not
swim
Willem
away.
Dafoe with his huge dick.
Yeah.
I can leave this island anytime you want. You're stuck here.
That's true. She actually can. By the way, there's a mermaid vagina. There's a mermaid
They
vagina.
solved the age-old problem of how do you have sex with the mermaid, and the answer is give it a chest vagina. That's
Leave
it.
me when
yeah.
I say
She had, like, a
I
vagina in
fucked
her
a
belly button.
mermaid.
But I feel like that's something that he would have very easily come up with in his need for women's state, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that he's like, is the one way a woman's gonna get here? Mermaid. Well, also the fact that he's holding a totem. What I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
like a little, almost like I would.
So
like,
that came from the previous Lighthouse person, right?
Sure. Who knows?
Yeah,
we don't
the-
know.
There.
Caught before him.
But
Yeah, we don't know.
but yeah, that basically becomes his like weird little hope, like.
He relies on it to get through the hard times, and by the hard times, I mean
Every day. And it's like, I would call it a fetish.
it's a
because-
fetish.
Yeah, it's like
It has like
symbolically and literally becomes fetishistic for him.
it has like those like those like if I'm remembering correctly, it's definitely a mermaid, but it's got the quality of like almost like those old fertility statues that you'd see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So
Was the mermaid sexy?
Oh, she's
Yeah,
cute.
I would.
You'd hit that.
Yeah, I'd hit that. Well,
You'd hit that mermaid vagina.
she drowned me, but yeah, no.
I tap that.
I don't know.
I'd flap that.
I don't like, guys. I don't like fish. I don't like the taste of fish. Don't like the smell of fish.
Does she make good lobster?
This is. I'm not going to get into this.
Oh, this is the image?
This is so much Rule 34 territory right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan just sent us image.
Yeah, that's the art piece of Prometheus being
Here we go.
All I know is that the ending also
Picked apart
confirms
by
that
birds.
Yoda was right about seagulls. Stop it now. And that seagull ultimately got revenge. And yeah, you can see how Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner also influences killing a seabird is bad luck.
There's a lot of literary influence.
They threw as much as they could in there. And it worked.
This is a piece of art from 1904.
Oh, that's familiar.
Cool.
Okay.
Is this also Prometheus?
So a lot of the imagery in the lighthouse is literally copying other images of shit.
Which is what The Witch did as well.
That's true.
This is Robert Eggers' MO, and I'm perfectly happy with it.
If you've never seen that before, your brain just goes, "What the fuck?"
Well, if I saw this without seeing Lighthouse, I would say, "What the fuck?"
What is he holding in his hand?
Actually, my question is, what is this supposed to be an image of? Like, where is it referencing mythology
This
or?
has caught you.
I think this is the light, the secrets being bestowed on Prometheus of the forbidden knowledge.
Even if you didn't know this image, you still even if you didn't see the image though, you would still draw the conclusion that here's this amalgam of Tom, Neptune, and the light itself from the lighthouse, which is the light itself is what both characters end up obsessing over by the end of the film. So.
Yeah, but yes, but I'm pretty sure that the analog to this painting happens right after Winslow spills his beans. So I assumed that meant that he was being judged.
It's not directly the painting itself. As far as I know, it's not directly related to Prometheus, but the painting is called Hypnosis.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh.
Why just spill your beans?
Well, actually, come to think of it,
That was good.
isn't Hypnosis also considered a character in Greek mythology, if I recall?
Yeah, I think so.
Hypnodia? Hypna?
Hypno evolves from drowsy and
Hypnos, considered the personification of sleep.
Yeah.
Double candy this weekend, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
God.
Hey, I know this. I realized us discussing this. I mean, and if you obviously chime in here, Kaela, once you have some.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Hypnos lives in a big cave, and according to Homer, he lives on an island, which is a very dreamlike island, and is said to be a calm and gentle god, as he helps humans in need. But the idea is, hold on, you want to click?
He goes, "Bow, bow, bow, bow."
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat that bow wow wow. Excuse me.
But the idea is that he lives isolated for the most part, and that Hypnos makes his island very dreamlike, which actually, in a weird way, makes sense in this context, because it's almost like
The other thing to point out, sorry to stop you, is that lighthouses have been around for ever, even in Roman times.
yes.
Just
Greek
saying.
times too.
Yeah.
I love Homer in that 90% of what he does. It's like, what's your new character? Right. So they live on an island, and weird shit goes down when sailors show up.
But in terms of hypnosis, in this case, if this is supposed to be Hypnos, maybe this is the idea of Hypnos bringing him into his dreamlike land, which in a weird way you have Thomas Willem Dafoe's character basically bringing Thomas into his own kind of weird, dreamlike isolation as well. So
Sure.
when does this scene happen? I'm trying to remember. Let's
Which scene? Which scene?
the where he like the light comes out of his.
Like, no, seriously, I think they're super drunk. Winslow spills his beans and then runs outside, and then this weird scene happens, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then they all wake up, and it's the next day. It's something like that.
Okay. It also is just a weird image. The writers could have been, or the Eggers brothers could have saw this and yeah, this should be in our film.
The brothers Eggers.
The brothers Eggers.
I think unless there's really any major other beats we want to discuss, I think we've said quite a bit about this one.
Okay, actually, there's one more question I have.
Oh, yes.
So, at the end of the movie, for the sake of Winslow, wait, which one's Winslow? Old man, young man.
Young man.
Young man
man.
kills the old man. Robert Pattinson kills Willem Dafoe. I mean, that's what's going to happen in this movie, right? Because the characters' names are so ambiguous. You're pretty much just going to call them their actor names.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson kills Willem Dafoe, and then goes upstairs and sees his light, right? His light that he's won, his prize.
Yeah.
And as he's staring at this light, there's tentacles in there or something, right?
You don't see what he sees necessarily.
You don't
he's,
see what he sees.
He's blinded by the light.
He's blinded by the light.
Wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night.
Yep.
And then he's laughing, but you hear foghorn noises or something. The sound saturates.
Yeah.
And then he gets, what does he get, pushed out of the lighthouse? I forget.
He gets
He
pushed.
just falls down.
He falls.
He falls back.
Falls down the stairs. Right. So what do you guys think he saw in the light?
Doesn't matter.
I
That was him. Sorry, go ahead.
This is the one thing apparently that everyone keeps asking the director, and he says he can't tell you, but it's some bullshit answer.
Yeah,
it was like you wouldn't want to know the answer because bad things will happen. And frankly, I could care less what it is because this movie is so much more the journey than the destination.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So whatever.
And
it's a way to end the movie.
You know what?
It's better that way.
Screw you guys. I'm asking for speculation.
Okay.
Here.
Can I chime in here? I realize this is going to be kind of a weak answer, but here's mine.
It's the next Pokemon game. How about that?
Go ahead, David.
This is the moment where he's finally getting to steal the fire from the gods. This is Prometheus getting the fire.
Sure.
And at first, the fire is warm and it's welcome, and he's giddy. He's euphoric with how he has it. Because I noticed when I'm watching it, he looks like he's laughing, but then his laughter turns to almost like the silent screams,
Like Lovecraftian horror.
Like it switches from laughter to horror, and he realizes he can't handle it, and then the force pushes him away. So this is both him being rewarded and then immediately punished for his hubris, for trying to steal the fire from the gods, trying to do what Prometheus did. So having taken out the gods to get to the fire, he realizes the fire burns, the fire scalds, the fire destroys, and the force of it throws him backward down the stairs. And whether this is real or not, that's the moment where his purgatory begins, where his punishment begins, because he still successfully stole the fire, and now seagulls will eat his liver for all eternity. So, yeah, that's my answer.
I would almost describe Willem Dafoe's character as he's married to the light, isn't he? His woman is the light.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's mythic themes to this movie, but there's also human themes too, and it's hard to separate the two. It's hard
on
to separate
purpose.
them. Yeah. So that's a great explanation of the mythical standpoint. But he's also kind of stealing this guy's girlfriend.
Yeah, either way, it's something he covets. So symbolically, he's pulling the whole Prometheus myth, but on the surface, if you want to go with that, he's just this is the thing that he was lusting after, therefore I want it. But once he has it, the horror of it still hits him. He can't handle it. He can't handle what he's done.
It's also, if you want to take it super literally, it's just a light. oh my god, I went through all this bullshit just for this. This isn't what I thought it was at all.
It could be the realization that, oh, I just killed a guy and have been going crazy, and this is literally just a light.
Yeah. You could also see it as the light fought back by
Sure.
he's like, I got it, and then the light scalds, the light blinds, and he gets thrown down the stairs.
I remember reading about how they specifically chose the time period so that they could use the Fresnel lens, that beautiful glass they have on the outside of the light.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, and it kind of hides what's inside the chamber too. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Again, this is not a movie that is meant to be solved, so have fun speculating, but don't
that's what
beat
I like
yourself up about it.
It's an experience. I think that's what is great.
It's definitely more an experience than I think a single narrative.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I like the whole aspect of it. So I was describing before about how it's kind of about, it's not really about puberty, but it's about being a man, a boy becoming a man, sort of like he's like forcing. You could, I don't know, but anyways, it was disgusting.
Yes,
it was slightly
just like men,
but it was also slightly homoerotic. It was like so many things at once, and at the end, I don't know. You
could just say it is about men and how they treat their own masculinity and how they view others' masculinity.
Right, and it's
how those two often conflict.
There's like almost no joy in it, though. It's kind of sad. There's no joy in manhood.
It's true. Well,
also,
I mean,
if you drink enough whiskey alone with any of your friends, you will eventually start to slow dance.
Yeah.
Apparently,
this is true.
But I think that's a really good interpretation, and I definitely follow that too, because it's like, because I mean, I keep the scene that always sticks out to me though is when, there's Pattinson alone in this like scummy rain-washed shed, masturbating violently to the point where he's almost like he seems like he's just doing it because it's something he has to do, and then he's in pain and he just kind of screams and collapses to the floor.
I mean, it's not just that, but also when they're having pleasant conversation, it's always hiding something deeper that's nefarious, or it turns into something ugly like a brawl or an insult.
Yeah,
it's never just happy conversation. And they're not doing pleasant things in order to survive. They're drinking lamp oil.
Yeah, it's
it's fucked.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of fucked to be a guy.
Masculinity in isolation.
And then there is that whole idea with masculinity that you can't really talk about your feelings and.
Sorry, I just really wanted to really quick bring up this from a Huffington Post interview someone had with Robert Pattinson about the movie. And they asked him about like queer subtext, and he said it was pretty explicit in the script. The script said the lighthouse looked like an erect penis.
Ah, man.
But okay, well, with like the witch, there's something beautiful and like vaguely I don't know how to describe it. Like empowering about her like joining the devil, stripping off all her clothes and literally going out and flying into the fucking sky. It's kind of cool. In the end, these guys, they're like doomed to their own masculinity and their own hubris. It's sad.
Maybe it's just a reflection of the times. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
It's a very good question.
What? I mean,
you could take away so much from this movie, and at anyone's point could be, almost anyone's point if they think about it could be.
I'm asking you guys to discuss it with me,
and that's what we're doing.
What do you want us to say in regards to this?
That's what we're doing.
Women are experiencing an era of huge empowerment, and men have to think about their masculinity in terms of what it actually means to be a man. How much longer do we want to be on this conversation for? I don't know, dude.
How long have we been talking? How long?
Over an hour.
Normal UCA episodes are like 3 hours.
What?
I'd say averaging maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah. I also don't want to say too much more because I want people to go see this movie and make up their own minds.
People don't listen past the first half an hour, which is when David and I just start making out.
Oh.
That's what all the whiskey you've been drinking.
Well, I mean, you guys just don't spend long enough. You don't know what's going to happen if you guys just keep spending time with each other. You might end up killing each other.
It's true. I might kill David.
Yeah.
Now hold on.
It could happen at any point.
Oh, and if that's what happens, then enjoy having a seagull tear out your liver for all eternity.
You see, I have this jar in my room, and I keep jelly beans in it. And it's like, I want to see the jelly beans, and I won't show him the jelly beans.
So, who's the ancient Greek jelly bean god?
Venus.
Venus.
Just
Venus. Hey, how would you guys feel about giving this movie the UCA freshness rating?
does it even fit into that paradigm?
I don't think
Nothing
so,
fits
but-
into that paradigm. It's the freshness rating. It's whatever you want to make it. That's how it works.
I'll give this movie beating up a seagull and out of drinking lamp oil moonshine.
I will give this movie a. I just realized the next movie I saw in the theaters after this was Cats.
That's an actual horror movie.
We're gonna talk about that too, right?
Fuck no, I'm not watching that movie.
I don't want to steal Alan's thunder, and Alan's already talked about Cats on UCA, so.
I will give it 5 out of 5 whiskey bottles, which is more than enough to get a good slow dance going with your bro.
Hey.
I'll give it a whole severed head freshly pulled from the ocean in a crab cage.
Nice.
Nice.
Trap. Yeah.
I'll give it a mermaid vagina.
I like that one. I think
You
that's
know-
the most apt.
This movie isn't fresh. It's as rotten and dirty as that cistern, but it's still good, and go see it.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it. Me wishing I was at Madame Gashier's way up in Calio. Hurrah, me yellow girls, doodle let me go.
That's a very fitting David.
I figured, yeah. I mean, well, you heard how Future David opened this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. Hey, this was great. We finally got to do this. I'm so happy.
Yay.
Hopefully the next movie we'll
Yay.
decide to review will be like soon after.
If for some reason you listened to all this and you hadn't seen The Lighthouse, I'm so sorry. Just go see it. Even
Yeah,
then,
really
you might
watch it.
you'll still probably derive something from it because this is just such a surreal experience and it's fun and it's great and I haven't enjoyed a movie this
And
this
if,
much.
if while you are watching the film, you are eating beans, don't spill them.
Don't
Smell them.
Dude, whatever you do, don't spill your beans.
You know, this would just be a movie to see high.
Oh my
I would,
god.
yes. See this movie fucking high.
Can we rewatch it all together?
Can we?
I'm down.
Let's next time
And then we can
everybody's
go
here.
to Strong Water afterwards.
Yeah.
And get lobster there.
I was
Yeah.
about to say that we'll go to Strongwater and we'll recollect. You'll help me to recollect as we
I'll
drink
eat an
tropical
edible.
drinks.
I'll eat an edible and put on my Oculus Quest, and you guys will never see me again.
Oh man,
Alan, is he dead? Guys,
No.
he's lost. Just let him
lost.
be. Let him be.
he's plugged into the Oculus.
He is plugged into the Oculus.
Just let him be. This is his fate.
By the way, if you enjoy hearing us garble or enjoyed all the voices that you hear, go listen to any of the lovely podcasts on creativehorror.com. I'm going to plug that because
Hell yeah. You got the archives of the Witching Hour. You got Darkly Lit. You got the archives of Midnight Marinara. You've got Trick or Track, and on and on and on. There will be more shows, and also some stuff being enfolded into UCA kind of slowly over time, like the horrible gelatinous monster it is. If you like what you hear here, please go leave here. Please go leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us out. It gets more ears on the show. You know how it is. It's the whole thing about I'm not shilling for YouTube likes or anything like that anymore. So just it helps. It helps the show. I'd appreciate it. Kaela would appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else here would too, but maybe not. I won't speak for them. Okay, so anyway.
We appreciate it.
The Rum-Tum Tugger is a curious cat.
Dear Lord, no.
No.
Good evening, intrepid listeners. This is the Pasta Shade, the host of Midnight Marinara, and this podcast is part of CreativeHorror.com, a network of podcasts and creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. For more content like this, visit us at CreativeHorror.com.